like, you're at the top of the game. You're the head physiologist, but you're also like an elite athlete as well. So it's been really nice just being able to like work with someone that's like so humble and modest. So
It's been good, Jace. It's been awesome working with you. It's been, and obviously, didn't expect it for it to be as effective as it did. Or like at the start, I didn't think it would be 6 weeks back to zero, which it wasn't, but it definitely that 6 weeks there was progression to where we wanted. So
it was kind of almost like an exponential sort of thing, almost like the lactate curve. It was kind of like
that's right. There was some stuff happening early, but then we got some good gains, and no, it was good. Yeah, I think we probably would have got there without anti-inflams. It just would have been a bit longer. I reckon that week.
Yeah, I agree. I think, but this is also the number one ruling factor of like professional sport, right? Is that you have to work to deadlines, which is just the difference between like using, like everything that you have, but also within like a framework that works with you too, right? So, yeah. And when, I guess like, you said, how long ago was that? Like last time that you felt like this?
I reckon maybe a little bit during COVID. I reckon I had a period sort of early on where it sort of got pretty good.
Yeah.
So that would have been, 5 years ago. So that would have been probably only a year or so. Yeah, I think just because it's been going on so long, the more it sort of comes back, the harder it is to see a way out. That's why I sort of like surgery is the only option. You sort of think, maybe it is.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have someone like you saying, I don't think you do need surgery. I think we can get on, because I don't think I've ever been told that. But to be honest, I've probably never pushed as hard to have someone who's invested in it. But to me, that's probably the take home is something like that is like, don't try to do it all on your own. If you've got people who
want to help,
or are more expert in the issue.
Yeah. And I mean, like, mate, like,
put the big picture. I sort of gave up racing this year because my focus was just getting the Achilles right. Whereas previous years, it's like I just try to do everything normally, but you're not ready to do everything normally, and the results show that. Whereas now, like I've never felt like this in training. It's because I can run on 2 legs properly. I remember after some of the sessions like yesterday, get in the car and accelerating would be not great function. Whereas now it's no problem. So
that's awesome, mate.
Some huge gains, and like I said, a bit of stiffness in the morning. Like I'm probably gonna have a little bit of stiffness on the other side too. So
asking you, so in terms of like the 12-week process, like what do you think was really kind of like the highlights and kind of like the almost like the differences in like the way that we approach things to what you've done in the past, and what do you think actually gave you the biggest result?
I think the biggest thing is how invested you were in the issue. Like, and I suppose just in the nature, I've never probably pushed to have anyone that invested in sort of my sort of programming. I've done most of my own. So, but just the daily contacts and just knowing that you cared. I think that was the biggest thing. And that constant discussion. So obviously the programming was awesome, but I think the biggest difference was just that personal investment from you, which you can feel. And I think that just helped me get through. And
But
it shows the importance of the gym, doesn't it? Like it shows
of course it does. Of course it does.
Yeah. And you have a look at the biggest change has been the S&C, really, hasn't it? It's like managing the load's been a bit more structured and targeted, but the S&C has probably been the big one. And I suppose it really did sort of ramp home when I just tried to break a bit more on that side and just took all the pain away. So it's obviously like that eccentric load through the quads, glutes, and hammies is having a big effect.
Yeah, massively. And I think as well, just like I said to you at the start, my thing is always just like trying to reduce like an inhibition of, a global sort of limb that doesn't want to accept load, because, as you would have seen with any of your athletes, it's like as soon as you have like an injury, it can sort of like linger and whatever else. And so my goal is always just to like remove inhibition, so then we can kind of get the water movement and that sort of thing that we need out of an area, so then it can actually start to heal a little bit better. So
got a one-on-one like we've had this week. That's all you hear from them, whereas we had sometimes 4 times a day check-ins just to make sure you were totally knew what was going on. And I feel like you've gone away and researched things you didn't know, and it's pretty clear that you have done everything and above to help deal with the problem.
Yeah. Okay. Because I think like one of the things that I tend to see other people get stuck with, and maybe this is what you're telling me too, is that a lot of the time, other professionals will almost assume that you know what you know, and then they're almost just going to be like, okay, I'll leave that with you. You can deal with that. Whereas I guess what I've done is I've kind of been like, no, I know, I understand that you know what you know, but I'm also actually going to take a deep dive into this to actually see what's going wrong, because there's really something that has.
Yeah, that's right. It's like the S&C, isn't it? We've both done level twos, but just because we've done level two doesn't mean we're doing the right program for the problem, because it's more performance S&C that I've done, not really injury management or healing or any of that type of thing. And I think there's some strategies now if it does start regress and just picking up on the signs straight away. So
And
the first thing is a day off, like just having that day off as an option to give it that extra 24 hours. The deload is the second one, and then the anti-inflammatory is probably the last one, but you don't want to sort of do those all the time. That's sort of like
and what I would say too is it's like in those especially if you're going to be like looking at volume as like your way to deload, then I'd be trying to almost like ramp up what you are.
That with the jump squats and the Hatfields and everything else, because that was the other thing. Like when I was away and didn't have access to the gym, like the Hatfields was 60 kilos and the jump squats, dumbbells was getting the same effect. So I think just having that balance of knowing what to do when you haven't got access to the gym as well, which is good.
And that's probably the best part of like decent programming too, is that you can kind of adjust based on the situation in front of you. So
and the other thing which can't be forgotten is like the pogos and the drop jumps have been pretty consistent throughout, and I think they've been like really good. And just the function of those compared to the start, it's like so much better. Just getting that stiffness through the leg, keeping that heel nice and on the ground. So there's been a lot of things that I've sort of got ingrained now, I think. So a lot better than it was, and we're on track for 2 110K weeks in a row, and second one off anti-inflammatory. It's a bit bigger in that area as well, so inflammation there is probably going to have more effective inflammation on the other side, just because less space and all those things. But like the last 4 weeks, I think I've averaged over 100 Ks a week, like because those down weeks are still sort of 90, 95. And it's in the best spot it's been, so that's pretty good, I think. Like I said, the track on Tuesday, and that was after speed, didn't feel it at all until a little bit in the warm up, and then it pulled up real well the next day. So that like a pretty good sign, because I remember at the start, I ran the next morning like 10 o'clock and it was totally fine. So pretty good signs. We've made some massive gains. Just keep moving forward now.
That's it. Yeah.
And